Good evening. Let me go ahead and call this meeting to order. Today is June the 12th, 2019. We're here for a regular meeting of the Ethics Commission for the City of Laredo. Let me go ahead and call roll. I, Sigifredo Perez, am present. Mr. Saba Zapata, absent. Ms. Adriana Alexander. Mr. Mark Pease.
Present.
Mr. Hector Lee Patiño.
Present.
Mr. Frank Castillo.
Present.
Mr. Vidal Cantu.
Present.
Mr. Henry Herford.
Present.
And Ms. Elsa Galvan. Okay, we have a quorum. Next item is general citizen communications. I believe we have 4 people who have signed up. First individual is Vish Vishwanath. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Chair, committee members, Ryan Henry, Mr. Henry, and city administration. I just have a few comments. There's actually 2 complaints here, 5A and 5B, which I am instrumented in either submitting personally or involved with. All I am seeking is, if there are individuals out there who should be recused, they should recuse themselves because that's the right thing to do. Second, we do have an independent counsel, sir. I have seen you, and I have seen you before also. The only expectation is that you are independent to the complaint and not favoring one group or the other. That's an expectation. Also, Chair, I don't have an attorney. I am my own attorney. So I have filed 2 complaints. I have this much information here. For whatever reasons, if I need to speak, I would appreciate some time to talk to you all when the item comes up. I will make sure that not only that I am professional, I will try to keep it to the point, but there's so much data that I have, which I'm not going to go through right now, but I'm seeking that you will treat me like you will treat an attorney. If you are present with me, you'll give all the freedom and all the courtesies in the world. I expect the same for me, sir. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next person is Mr. Armando Cisneros.
Good afternoon. Armando Cisneros for the record.
Good afternoon.
I've served on a couple of committees for the city, and we always have to take an oath to uphold the charter and the laws of the state of Texas and the United States. So I know that all of you have taken that same oath. And this is what this is a meeting is about, this hearing is about, whether or not the people who are given the charge of enforcing the charter have done so. So I wanted you to please keep that in mind. And the answer is yes or no. Hopefully you'll be able to determine that. And I ask for all of you to be listening to all of us. And good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Next individual is Ms. Leslie Martinez.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Leslie Martinez. I am here because I'm concerned that the city council and the managers are not abiding by the city charter when it comes to raising the water rates to cover the 45 million developmental water infrastructure costs. The city manager's job is to enforce the charter, and according to 6.05C, it states there that what they are doing is it's pretty much going against the charter. Do you mind if I state what the charter states? Yeah.
You can proceed.
It states here, the cost of the utility expansion must be made by those requesting expansion, and the city council will not obligate any citizen by adjusting the utility rate to defray the cost.
What is she talking about? That's not on the agenda, is it?
Yes.
Is that
Okay.
okay? The city manager's job is to enforce the charter, so I would appreciate it if you could look into that.
Thank you. Ms. Cynthia Vasquez, please.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Vasquez. I am singing along with her on what she just said with the city ordinance, and I see that the room is a little bit more filled this time around. I guess the citizens are waking up and concerned about the raise of the water increase. I do want to speak when the item comes up on regarding that, and the vote which each district is considering, because I will be getting interviewed tomorrow with Telemundo, the things that are happening in the barrio with Miguel Amante, and I want to see and take numbers to him as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And that is all, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Next item are the minutes for the meeting of May 8th, 2019. Has everybody had a chance to review? Any discussion, comments, changes?
Move for the approval of the minutes.
Okay, there's a motion for approval. Second. Mr. Cantu. Discussion? Okay, there's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. Okay, Mr. Henry, I believe you have a couple of housekeeping matters you wanted to address?
Yes, Mr. Chair, before we get started into the discussion items or the executive sessions, there are matters that require us to look at a issue of recusal, potentially before we get into these particular
Can you
complaints.
speak up a little bit?
Certainly. My apologies. I'm still not used to your system. Before we get moving, we need to address the issue of possible recusal. I've spoken to two members of the commission, and I believe it is appropriate for independent reasons for each, but that Mr. Herford and Mr. Castillo recuse themselves from any further action on these two items. But we'd be going into executive session over those items, so any recusals would need to happen
No.
before.
Okay, and this is with respect to items 5A and 5B, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Mr. Herford?
I repeat myself.
Okay. Mr. Castillo?
I do, but I do have a couple of comments, if I may
Proceed.
to do it. I do feel that it's my duty to be here, as I had mentioned to anybody who listened to me. It's regarding a duty to represent a district for the general public, if I may. What I'm not the elected official for that, I am the appointed one for this committee. And I feel that I need to at least express that so the people that are listening do realize that I'm not shying away from my responsibility, but occasionally these things come up where there's a question where my impartiality could be questioned, and I certainly do not want to jeopardize the work that this committee is going to have to do right now. And I applaud you for hopefully coming up with the right decision. Nevertheless, I believe there was precedent on this that you
Yes,
could
sir. It
perhaps
is.
elaborate on.
Well, in the past, whenever issues regarding actual complaints or potential complaints against council members that are your appointees, the individual ones that have appointed the council member, the commission members, they have recused themselves in the past, including with regard to Councilman Perez the last time I was here. So it's pretty much precedential at this point.
Very well. I, in that case, recuse myself.
Okay, I believe that does it. I don't think we need anything further from Mr. Herford or Mr. Castillo, correct, Mr. Henry?
That's correct.
Okay, we can proceed? Okay. Next item is executive session. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
All those in favor? Against? None? We will retire to executive session. Time is 5:40. Okay, we ready? Okay, time is 5:52. Back on the record. Let's go to item number 5A and 5B. I'll read both items. 5A is a complaint filed by Mr. Victor Gomez made against Mr. Robert Eads and Ms. Rosario Cabello in their capacity as co-city managers. And 5B is a complaint filed by Mr. Viswanath made against Mr. Robert Eads and Ms. Rosario Cabello in their capacity as co-city managers.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
before you begin, I need to actually make a legal statement regarding the complaints. The commission has jurisdiction based on the charter. The charter says that your jurisdiction is controlled by what is in the ethics code. You have complete jurisdiction over things that happen in the ethics code. That doesn't necessarily mean you have direct jurisdiction over the charter. Some charter provisions are incorporated, some are not. I've done a diligent search of the ethics code and different ethics policies. The particular section that actually applies to the co-city managers under Section 3 is not incorporated into the ethics code. I do not believe, from a legal perspective, you have jurisdiction over either one of these complaints. So before we even get into merits or what happened or what didn't happen, I don't believe you are the proper venue for that.
So in other words, we are not empowered to even consider this,
That is correct, sir.
specifically the remedies that are sought by both of the complainants.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Any questions by members of the commission?
If that's the case, I'll make the motion to dismiss items 5A and 5B due to lack of jurisdiction.
Seconded.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. Any further motions?
I'd like to make a motion to hold an evidentiary hearing to determine if both filings by Mr. Gomez and Mr. Viswana are frivolous and as defined by the Ethics Code.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion passes.
Move for adjournment.
We have another? I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We're adjourned.